high wind speeds. Same thing happening here near Caraway, and all of that trying to rotate as we're watching it. So Kaiser, Marie, Osceola, Luxora, pop up those cells. It's firmly in the middle of the 2 out of 5 risk zone, marching towards Tennessee as we see this thing move forward. But I want to keep all of our attention right now on this cell. This one has stayed together as it has moved across the state of Arkansas. And if you follow this event with us over time, if you've been with us for past tornado events, it's this type of storm that is what we end up calling a long-lived storm that has a long track that can cover many states sometimes. So far, that's what this has had all the markings of, as it has stayed together. And it is angling right now towards Osceola, Golden Lake, and Gilt Edge. We've been watching this thing move at around 50 miles an hour on average. It's been going at a pretty good clip. Let's say 50 plus miles an hour. This one is at 40, so it's slowed down slightly. Tornado and softball-sized hail both indicated. Softball-sized hail with this. Keep that in mind. In Kaiser and Marie and Golden Lake, the danger from the ice alone, which we have seen photo after photo of coming across Arkansas, is extremely hazardous. A big, big issue as this is moving forward. And again, we are talking about this about to enter Kaiser. Thank you for that, my friend. Baseball. How about a baseball-sized hail? Okay, that's in relation to a hand. This hail is softball-sized with this particular cell. This is what you're facing in the Kaiser, Osceola, Marie area, all right? So be careful out there. Make sure you've got everybody inside, under shelter, under cover. It is Friday night. Everybody should be hopefully at least tucked away a bit in a safe spot. I wouldn't drive through this at all either, because the rainfall totals under here are going to be incredible. We were talking earlier about the not just the number of lightning strikes, but the amount of rainfall associated with this. And when I sort of dive into this, we're talking about shadings that don't normally show up, indicating incredible amounts of water hitting the ground. These purples and the light purple, about 20 minutes ago, I had a solid column of black, which is almost never seen as radar is trying to give us a sense of how much water is falling under this. So Etowah, Caraway, County roads over there, 209, Kaiser, I would not drive anywhere. Your visibility is going to be terrible. You're not going to be able to really see anyway, even with the windshield wipers doing double time. This is one of those pull over on the side of the road and wait until it passes sort of situation. But it is angling towards the Mississippi River, Osceola. Now Drummond's, you're in this as well, Gilt Edge. And if it stays together, Atoka, and it's going to angle at this point just north of Millington, very close to the Rosemark area. So it has continued to sort of take a little bit of a southeast dive as it's moved forward and maintained its intensity. Again, almost all of us are under a tornado watch. Okay, North Mississippi, I believe you're just about the only one that isn't. Had that map for you earlier, and again, I think we haven't seen anything change there. But I want to make sure that we're keeping everybody up to speed on all the threats here. Gusty winds, that hail core, which I'm about to toggle on here because it's incredible. There it is, man, just up to tennis ball and softball sized hail. Multiple lightning strikes, those torrential downpours, and of course the rotation that we've been tracking under this. As I put this into motion over the past hour, just watch that hail core by itself. Normally, we will see these pulse, wax and wane, sort of ebb and flow. This one has maintained its integrity and its strength pretty much all the way across northern Arkansas. At first, it was almost hanging on to the Arkansas-Missouri line. It looked by all means that it was going to go straight into the boot hill, and it has begun this slow curve to the right and to the south over the past hour or so, sending it on this trajectory. So it is right now entering Mississippi County. It's right on top of Etowah. Osceola is next, and we want to make sure that you're inside, that you're away from those windows, you're away from the exterior walls, and that you are taking all the precautions. We got some hail video to share with you from Paragould, Arkansas. That's going to leave a dent, friends. Yeah, now we're talking probably, say it again, Morgan. Sundale Circle in Arkansas. And while that looks like it's probably dime to quarter-sized hail, you're still talking about the potential to knock out windows, damage your vehicle, damage your rooftop. Big issue with the hail in this particular system.
That's in Paragould, Sundale Circle.
Paragould, Arkansas. Sundale Circle, thank you. Again, let's take a look right now at the markers for our velocity. This has not weakened much. We saw earlier it became more of a straight line, and at that point it was allowed to leave tornado status, but we're still getting this curvature as it's leaving Etowah and it's almost to Kaiser. Kaiser and Marie, Osceola, Golden Lake, time to move. Time to get into your safe location. You're going to hear that said again and again. I'll try to say it different ways so that we continue to keep you motivated. Let's check out some more hail images. Look at this. Just off of Jonesboro and 351. I mean, if that is what had come down in Paragould, you're talking about a different situation. Look at that. And these are a lot of these friends are from all over Arkansas, trending now into Tennessee. I mean, we're talking about not just in one location, but county after county as that hail core has held together. And we don't have information yet on the potential for tornado damage, but I'm telling you, we've had several authorities and confirmed reports that it has touched down as it's moved forward, which means it is still absolutely in play. And so that's what we need to be careful of. Hail, those lightning strikes, being away from those windows, and these incredible wind speeds that are going to be associated with potential circulation, rotation, coming through Mississippi County right now. It is just about to exit Arkansas and move into West Tennessee. And again, in its path right now, we're talking about Gilt Edge, Drummonds, you're down there as well. Covington, not too far away. Let me give some more ideas here. There's Osceola, Golden Lake, Gilt Edge, Garland. You're right on the edge of this as well, getting some lightning coming through there. You can see there are breaks and moments where it gets a little less intense, but this is what's headed your way. This hail core is just now entering Kaiser. It's almost to Marie. It'll be there in a few minutes. Osceola, it's making its way towards you right now as well. Osceola and Kaiser, you are just on the edge of the highest wind speeds. Okay, if we have a tornado, this is where it's going to be. So I would make sure that we are away from those windows, away from those danger zones, and inside the interior of a home.
Call for the RDOT camera.
Can we look at the RDOT camera? Do we have that?
This is 158
Okay.
on I-55. It's the Luxora exit, and like the lightning display just 2 seconds ago, Joy, was incredible.
This is Luxora?
Yeah, just outside of Osceola. It's like northwest of Osceola,
There
just
it
by
is.
a couple
Yep.
miles.
Got it right here on the map. Okay, keep an eye on that. Thank you, Daryl. Keep an eye on that for us in the booth as well, because that was your road camera that we just pointed out, and you can see how close it is to what's occurring. Now, keep in mind, and you could just tell from that road camera, we've got no visibility. It's nighttime. You're not going to see anything to motivate you unless you just happen to catch one of those lightning flashes. And, of course, that's not what you want, because that's when everybody gets extremely scared. And we don't want fear here. We want to make sure that we're just having a robust conversation and trying to get you motivated, because I know that we can become a little skeptical, a little jaded, but this is a dangerous situation, and we want you mobilized and motivated to go to some place that's safe until this passes. Then you can get right back into your Friday evening. But this is an extremely dangerous situation. And as we've seen over the past few months, Arkansas has had to bear a lot of this, trending from here into Kentucky. Missouri saw some issues from this, West Tennessee as well. This has been a tough zone. We talk often about the reality that we're seeing Tornado Alley shift a bit into Dixie Alley. And man, this has been a very busy season for us. Extremely dangerous. All right, let's go to Luxora for just a moment. You can see Luxora right up here on your map. It's awfully close to this hail core. There's the Arkansas DOT camera. We're seeing lots of lightning strikes in that area as this system is getting closer and closer. Of course, you can see the white flashes there. And amazingly, this is not nearly as lightning dense as what we saw a few nights ago. You couldn't even barely we had to toggle the lightning off just so you could see the storm underneath. So the fact that we've got less lightning is sort of interesting, but the hail has been monstrous. And the rotation, critical here, has stayed together. Still looking at those markers, just now about to enter Kaiser. Coming up on 181, just north of Dias. Watch out for wind damage there. Etowah, you're still seeing strong winds, but the point of rotation has moved just east of you. We're also looking at you in Marie. and just south of that Golden Lake. And Bassett, safe spots, you're too close to it. And again, this thing could adjust and toggle and go into a different direction at any point. So let's back that view out for just a moment. And I also want to try to give you another sort of trajectory here. Let's look at some more timing of where this will be going next. I'm going to start it very close to the rotation and move it forward. Osceola, it's there in just about less than 10 minutes. Then on to Golden Lake, Gilt Edge, 940 to 950. Covington, at its current pace, it's going to be there at right around 10:04. So you've got roughly a half hour onto Covington and then past that Tabernacle, Mason, Stanton, and we'll be fine-tuning, of course, as this gets closer. But if it continues going a little further south, we're going to be, of course, including areas like Rosemark, some areas closer to Millington, and watching that very, very closely. I'm, again, tracking this from the center portion of where that rotation is currently showing up. All right, let me hit reset for just a moment. If you're just now joining us, we have been under a tornado watch for the last couple of hours. It blankets a lot of these counties in West Tennessee, all of eastern Arkansas. Mississippi has not been included so far, and you've been relatively quiet except for a few showers. Earlier today, we had a 1 out of 5 risk zone get upgraded to a 2 out of 5 with really the epicenter back here in central Arkansas. We were just sort of on the back edge of it. But as always seems to be the case, Memphis wants all the smoke, don't we? We seem to want all the tornadoes too, because it comes right through here, and that's what we've got right now. Let's just push pause on that for a moment, the tornado warning. Just look at the storm system. The amount of electricity and energy from the Boot Heel region right down that Mississippi River Valley, blanketing West Tennessee. You can see Shelby County getting lit up right now as well. In fact, those cells in Shelby County are pretty fierce on top of Lakeland, just in passing through Bartlett. Bartlett a little quiet. It's going to be on Cordova and into Germantown. Collierville, you're just south of it, but get ready, Fisherville. Get ready, Oakland. It's moving towards you right now, heavy rain. We're not looking at much in the way of lightning or hail there right now. A little bit of lightning strikes up near Arlington, but you are seeing some nice downpours, all right? North of that, I would go ahead and start paying attention Millington to Rosemark, Atoka, Covington. You're currently not a tornado warned area, but either way, this cell is going over you in the near future. It's heading your direction. Again, I said moving around 40 to 45 miles an hour. That's been the standard throughout the night. Just about to cross over the Mississippi River. Right now, Osceola to Golden Lake is sort of our epicenter as we're moving forward.
Hey, Joey, those cells that you're picking up right there over, and I don't want to talk over this graphic. I mean, obviously, that's very important.
Go ahead.
But those cells that you're picking up, the ones that are popping up, as you just showed on Clearview a moment ago over Shelby County, are you concerned at all that any of those could develop into what we've seen into northeast Arkansas? I mean, those seem to have just exploded all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's definitely in play, Daryl, absolutely. Because we're in that watch zone, that means we have the parameters there, the heat is there, the warmth of dew points are there. The reason they are a little less tiered in the threat department is because this cell that we're tracking over there by Kaiser and Marie, which looks to be getting redrawn right now. Let's take a quick look at that. Oh, it's still, okay, they're just tightening it up a little bit. It has stayed so well defined. So to answer your question, we are concerned about that growth going forward. But, you know, I was looking at satellite imagery earlier. Satellite imagery is a great predictor of what's headed our way. And on satellite imagery, which is trying to measure the cloud tops and see how those clouds are exploding, there's not a lot occurring over here. There's a small bit occurring here where you see this cell, and most of this action is tied to this. So over the Memphis area, the overall threat at the moment is controlled, but it's not zero. And of course, in this kind of situation, we can see these cells split. One can die down and feed another. I shared some video earlier of this cell in its early stages. We had 2 distinct hail cores coming across. This is on my Twitter feed, I believe, and on my Facebook page. And those 2 hail cores moved and became one giant hail core. So they actually came together, and it was part of this particular cell that we're seeing now that is so vibrant. So again, like I said earlier, kind of robust, got a lot going for it, trying to stay together. Let's get back into velocity mode here. This is now marching across 55. If you know that area, that stretch of road, Kaiser and Marie on 55, that's where it's rotating past right now, just about to cross the Mississippi River into West Tennessee. This is going to be north of Turl and just outside of the Golden Lake area, just to give you some ideas, south of Burdett. All of that in play right now, and of course, the hail on top of it has been a ongoing sort of threat. You see where it tries to die down a hair there, but now it's trying to gain some more momentum as it's coming across the river. Let's give you some lightning strikes there as well. Those, again, have been more, as you can see, super active on RDOT. I believe that's, did you say that was Paragould, Daryl?
No, that's just outside of Osceola. Osceola, it's the Luxora. It's the Luxora exit right there at State Road 153, just north of Osceola.
Which is right on. Yeah, okay, that's right on the edge.
That's right over that core that you were just pointing to. It's passing over right now. And I've been paying attention to this shot. This has been a lightning show for about 10 or 15 minutes, and now it's right over the top of it. Before it was kind of off screen, and now there it is. It's right there. It's
passing over them right now. Yeah. Okay. So that is right on top. Okay. So our camera you're looking at is right in this vicinity right here. You can see where that hail core is in relation to that. If we had visibility, we might be able to see what's occurring because we're talking about being awfully close to this primary circulation point that is right now on top of Kaiser and Marie. We showed you some markers earlier as this is continuing to go forward, and I want you to focus on this spot here. Everybody in that direction. Follow that polygon and its sort of launch pad as it moves across from Arkansas into Tennessee, crosses the river. We're talking about Tipton County. Need to have that antenna way up and ready to go. Have those ears listening because Covington, Atoka, Mason, Rosemark, you're next if this holds together, and I think it's going to. It's not showing any signs of weakening. We're not seeing anything straighten out here like we did earlier. And keep in mind, earlier, this was allowed to downgrade briefly to a severe thunderstorm warning, then it came right back. So we're not quite through with this particular cell yet. I mean, it has been extremely dangerous. Let's see if we've got any alerts with this one in our storm tracks. So we're seeing some early rotation here near Marie, a little bit of rotation trying to shape up near Atoka. All right, keep that in mind, Atoka. This is all coming forward. You can see back here near Caraway, many areas trying to show that we've got something brewing in those clouds as this is marching across. This is not good, but hey, Memphis, keep in mind, it just popped in and out. There's a lot of little areas here, little pockets trying to do something as this is moving forward. All right, so once again, there's our tornado warn zone just north of Millington, coming across from Arkansas where it is continuing to give us a just massive, strong hail core that has had hail all over the ground. We've been showing you some of the incredible images that have been put out. This is near Luxora, just outside of Osceola, where the lightning is fierce. It's very close to where we're seeing the rotation, and that hail core is just north of that, I believe, at its the current trajectory it's taking. But you can see this is probably mimicking what many of you are seeing right now anywhere north of Millington as this thing is advancing. As it goes towards Gilt Edge, we want to make sure that we're giving everybody in front of that some lead time as well. Somerville, Fayette Corners, things are starting to build there as well. The storms that are trying to exit Shelby County right now, look at Arlington, Fisherville, just outside of Collierville. Now, Collierville to Rossville, you're starting to pick up a little bit. Fisherville has some lightning and some heavy rain falling right on 269. That's going to make that stretch of road a little bit difficult right now as it's making its way on to Somerville. Williston may pick up Moscow and Rossville here in just a second as well. And back to the west a bit, more cells trying to develop. Now, we were expecting storm cells all night long. Everything started to upgrade this afternoon into this evening and get a little bit more explosive. We talked about this on Fox 13 News at 5 and 6, how we have been upgraded in that risk zone area earlier today, 1 to 2. But as this is really sort of underlining and highlighting, we don't have to be in a high-risk situation to have a strong and dangerous cell develop. And that's what we're looking at right here. If you're just now joining us, we've been tracking this particular one all the way across Arkansas. It has a history of, it has had a history of having tornadoes touch down. We have seen and been viewing all kinds of hail coming from this system. Wind speeds are going to be very high with this, of course, just like we saw the other night. And the lightning strikes have been incredible. In fact, the lightning seems to be picking up near Osceola and Luxora. Let's go back to that RDOT camera if we still have it. I would imagine that the lightning is going to be picking up pretty dramatically because that's almost on top of it right now. And you can tell, it doesn't look like we have a whole lot of traffic there on the roadways, but there's a lot of electricity passing over it right now in the Osceola area. Yeah, we're looking at it right now on Clearview radar. So that camera in the Luxora zone, the Luxora exit, just north of Osceola, Arkansas, which is currently wrapped up with a hail core from Osceola south to Marie. Just incredible. All right, so here's our camera you were just looking at. And just south of there, all the hail coming through and the rotation as well. So you've got the hail core there. Now let me turn that off and show you just the rainfall. I've jogged that just a hair. Your purple core, now we already know the yellows, the reds, we're gaining intensity. Red on the reflectivity, that's hard rain coming down. These are colors we don't often see, indicating a sort of unique and rare water event. And even more unusual is how this is held together as well. This downpour has not done very much but just changed shape. In fact, it has gone from this purple, we've seen some very thick black ribbons in here indicating even heavier water, which can lead to the sort of situation like we had the other night at a Macon and Holmes here in Shelby County with the potential for flash flooding. Osceola, that's going to be a real threat for you right now, flash flooding. So hopefully everybody is staying inside, staying off those roadways, and that we are taking this seriously as it continues to move forward.
You know, Joey, usually you see these, and forgive me, I'm asking as a viewer here, you usually see these kinds of storms hold together when you see those long trains of storms, those big, massive lines where the storms just move up and down from that southwest to northeast corridor. Do you have any ideas onto why this particular storm, which you look at Clearview radar, it seems pretty localized. Why is it holding together like it is? Why is it so intense? Is there any indication?
We are not looking at a one clear, cold line coming through. You're looking at a meandering. It's sort of waffling as it comes by. Several days ago, I was showing the fronts going into the next few days.
Right.
Yesterday, the day before, we saw the cold front trying to make one steady push. Now it's just sort of slowly meandering through. And we're not seeing all the ingredients together to give us one straight line. You're looking at little cells. This particular one has just tapped into everything across North Arkansas, and all those ingredients have just come together.
Yeah, because this cell, by all indications that I'm seeing on social media and other media reports from Arkansas and Missouri, started in southeast Missouri.
Right.
And then really got, into our viewing area, not quite into our viewing area. We started keeping an eye on it. I know you did, just outside of Walnut Ridge, which is 30 miles northwest of Jonesboro. And that's where we've seen some of those pictures of funnel clouds and even a tornado on the ground. And it's 115 miles as the crow flies from Walnut Ridge all the way to Covington. And that's a pretty long stretch for a storm.
That's a good point. And keep this in mind as well. With a cell that has this kind of strength, it can commandeer and take over the atmosphere around it. It can rob other cells of energy. It can absorb it. We've got a brand new one. Let's see, they are extending this one right now. So we're seeing it. I hate to say this, but we're seeing this cell be directed a little bit further south. You see the new drawing on that tornado warning? That's going to take it more towards Drummond's and angle it a little bit more towards northern Shelby County. Let's continue to share the word on this one, that this cell, which we have been talking about, has been sort of the solo bully all afternoon long, is not losing momentum, is continuing to sort of tweak and angle more to the south and southeast, and our brand new tornado warning is bringing it closer to the Drummond's, Millington, Rosemark area. We were talking just a moment ago about what is so unique about this. We have watched it go all the way across from Missouri, across the north of Arkansas, and hook down. While the other cells are not as long-lived, we had them on and off as severe thunderstorm warnings. This one has got everything that it needs. It's kind of become the perfect little mini storm and is not weakening. The hail core inside of it continues to be extremely impressive. Again, it is moving towards you, Covington. It is trying to angle towards Atoka, and it is trying to curve a little bit towards Arlington. Keep that in mind in northern Shelby County. This thing is coming through. In Arlington, you just had some rain march through there. In fact, just south of Arlington, we're trying to pick up a little bit of hail here near Fisherville. This one's trying to grow a little bit. You can see a little bit of development there, a little bit of heavy rain core as that is continuing to march through. We've got a very buoyant atmosphere. Warm air all day. We talked about that. It's battling the cold front that's coming through. We've got all the ingredients here, the storm fuel. And I had this conversation earlier with a lot of our members here. I said, we've got to keep our guard up for tonight because looking at today's data, all the tornado parameters had become very rich. They just had begun to highlight from Arkansas into West Tennessee at this time frame. In fact, at 10 p.m., it was extremely ripe, extremely active, and we're 15 minutes away from that. So I'm hoping that we can see things calm down a bit. But all indications are we're entering what might be the most hazardous portion of this for West Tennessee as we go into the next 30 minutes to an hour. That's reason enough to share the word. Get on that phone tree, start texting, making sure everyone's got their app turned on, they've got the notifications turned on. You remember, of course, the safety tips. I hope you don't just sort of ignore them and that you use them. And by the way, just so you know, those of you out there who have sent me photos of you and your family in these locations being safe, we love to see that. We love getting those photos of you and the family and the kids and the cats and the dogs and whoever you're with, maybe you're by yourself, listening and being safe and just taking a few minutes to go into that spot. Just so you know, we love it when you send those pictures in and we can see you taking our advice and going into those safe locations. If you're just now joining us, let me hit reset for just a moment. We've got a tornado watch blanketing West Tennessee and much of Arkansas. You've seen the map on your screen. It really outlines the tornado watch zone. It goes until midnight. This particular tornado-warned cell, which has continued to angle more and more south, has shown all the signs of being extremely dangerous, a particularly dangerous situation. At one point in Arkansas, it was being called potentially catastrophic. It is believed that it's been touching down as it moves forward, and the threat of rotation hasn't been the only issue. We've been watching monster hail again that we dealt with earlier this week coming out of Texas. Now Arkansas has seen that all the way across, and that threat is now moving into the volunteer state. We're seeing it now cross the river as we speak from Osceola south. Everything you see there in the purple, that is your hail core, getting more intense as we trend towards green, and we're looking at extreme high amounts of ice up here. We've seen reports of up to tennis ball and in some cases softball-sized hail with pictures flooding in of people going out and finding these in their yards, about it pelting their trucks. There's one right now. This was earlier tonight near Jonesboro when this system was just beginning to track across North Arkansas and gaining some momentum. We had pictures of grass covered and trucks being hit, and that's what's happening right here, right now. So south of Luxora, Osceola to Golden Lake, the hail core is incredible. Let's check that rotation, and that's not exactly what you want. It may be trying to weaken slightly, not much. There may be a slight weakening here, but still dangerous. Let's hope that that trend continues, and we might see this, if that would continue, potentially get downgraded, but let's continue to watch this area. What that means is Gilt Edge and Drummond, you're on deck. You need to make sure that you're mobilizing, that you know that it's go time for you to get into the spot that keeps you safe, the spot in the house, the apartment that you know that you're going to be okay. Those high winds coming across the Mississippi River, exiting Arkansas right now, moving into western Tennessee, Drummond's, Gilt Edge, and then Atoka. You're all on that current path, and the hail is located right behind it, the lightning, the heavy rain, it's all coming through right now. Let's try to give you some markers here and give you a sense of when it's going to be in these areas. Let's start with our friends in Gilt Edge. You've got about 6 minutes before that rotation that's being indicated here makes it to you. In the Drummond's area, you've got about 9 to 10 minutes from right now before the center of this makes it to you, and then on towards Atoka and 51, about 18 minutes. So Gilt Edge to Drummond's to Atoka, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 18 minutes, and moving forward. The countdown has already begun, so make sure that everybody is mobilized and getting into safe locations, wherever that is. Now, it doesn't have to be big hail to damage your vehicle. Sometimes it can be the size of a dime, nickel. That's what's happening right now. This was Paragould earlier. Not good. Not good at all. Nobody wants that on their vehicle, your rooftop, your home, your pets. Let's make sure our pets are taken care of. for sure. Let's make sure they're inside. Getting hit by ice, and especially as it gets bigger and bigger in size, we're talking danger, friends. We don't want anybody injured. We want to make sure that everybody is safe. We want our property taken care of, but more than that, we want our people and our pets taken care of as well. All right, if you're just now joining us, this tornado-warned area has just had a recent update that is shifting it a bit to the southeast, trying to bring it more towards the corner of Shelby County near Rosemark. We're watching the very center of it cross over the Mississippi River right now. It's exiting Arkansas, getting into western Tennessee. We're really looking at you up there near Lauderdale and Tipton County. You're the ones who are going to be the closest to this. Let me go up here close to Osceola for just a moment. We know that we've got the heavy rain, the hail. Let's focus on the rotation, which picks up right around Osceola. Okay, here we are. Let's start it right in this vicinity, just south of Luxora. It's trying to come across that river, and we can see Park Road, Bride Road, you're awfully close. Burleson, it's almost there. Gilt Edge, going down 59. There's Munford, Gillette Road, and Drummond's. You're just south of it, Drummond's. Let me give you a sense of how far that is from you. 5 miles. About 5 miles north of you, but you're still within striking distance. From this back edge, Drummond's, 3.5 miles. Awfully close. So please make sure everybody in Drummond's is being safe. And Garland, you're next. I was just looking at the Garland area a moment ago. All right, Garland just past Gilt Edge. Brighton and Atoka, Tabernacle. That's headed in your direction. Morgan, I thought you said just a moment ago you had some more hail video. Is that right? Let's check the Osceola road camera. This is right close to Luxora, where it looks like it just got hit by a truck. Everything okay there? I don't know what just happened with that. Got it. Got it. Okay, that was the camera actually just being turned, and you can see that we're still looking at multiple lightning strikes. And while it would be difficult to see any rotation because of how dark it is, you've got to have the perfect angle and lightning strike to see if there's a funnel cloud actually moving there. But that was the camera right near Osceola to Luxora. And the heaviest action is now passing right by there and getting across the river into West Tennessee. I'm looking right on top of the Gilt Edge area. That's where the main core of hail is trying to approach. Garland, it's almost on top of you. Everything here in purple to these greens, major ice threat, hail threat. You may hear it on the roof. In addition to the rainfall, may sound a little bit more percussive if you hear it coming down. Hopefully you've got a way to cover up the vehicles, but most of us don't. So I just hope for the best there for you. But we want everybody inside and definitely off these roadways. If I toggle off that hail core, once again, you're going to see an immense amount of rain. This purple zone, everything in these darker browns is incredible amounts of water. Here, you're not even going to really be able to see anything. Visibility will be terrible, especially with the winds picking up and whipping that rain around. It's just going to be a bad situation. The rain itself looks like it's trying to angle the heaviest core towards Garland and Covington, while the rotation inside of that, let's see what it's doing. It is still maintaining this edge, moving in this direction like it's moving right towards 51 and Atoka. So you've got a wind blast right now coming through Gilt Edge and Drummond's. I'm sure you can hear it and feel it in the bones and structure of the house or wherever you are. You can hear that wind outside as it's exiting the Mississippi River and trying to get more towards 51. That's moving forward as we speak. Atoka and Tabernacle, whether or not this gets forwarded as a tornado warning, go ahead and get everybody aligned that they need to start having some kind of plan and maybe a little go bag, something to grab and get into your safe location. Rosemark, Arlington, Mason, you're all on the other side of this tornado warned area, but the system is still moving towards you one way or the other. And this is what's coming your way. Huge amount of rain, lightning, and hail. Again, if you're inside, if you're all buttoned up, you're going to be fine. We don't want you on the roadways. That just adds to the level of danger. And also, if you're in this zone where we're watching the rotation, that's when you've just got to get up and get away from the windows. Listen, let's say it's 1 in 100 chance or 1,000. It's still too much of a chance to put at risk yourself or maybe a loved one. The kids, the grandkids, the spouse, you don't want that to happen. You want everybody safe. And then when it's gone, when it's past, everything's okay. We can all go back to comfort and wherever you are. But this is going to be our really hot zone right now as it's moving forward. Still continuing to watch that very active hail core. just pummeling Gilt Edge. It's now exiting Osceola. Osceola, you're about to get a break. Marie, Golden Lake, things are quiet there. Hopefully, we're not looking at damage on the backside of this system, but we are still worried about the threat from this hail and, of course, the rain and the rotation. All right, let's get back into that rotation. Still extremely put together. We're talking about a big push of wind. Now, keep in mind, the other night when we saw this shape up just like this, when it stopped rotating and was coming through more of a straight line, we saw 70 to 80 mile per hour gusts. Now, I have not had a report from this from an actual recording station, an official recording station yet, but keep in mind that's still a threat that's in play. That even if you're not getting rotation, you're getting that straight line coming through, you're still looking at the threat for damage to, well, one of the first victims is always the awnings at a gas station, portions of our home, the eaves that get peeled up. So let's keep that in mind right here. Covington, it's almost on top of you, and then it's going to move on towards the Tabernacle area in Atoka. All right, now here's...
How does something like this hold together this long?
It's got all the nutrients it needs.
It just seems like it's all by itself.
It's got everything it needs to stay fed. Now, this is interesting. We're seeing the northern portion of this get forwarded as a severe thunderstorm warning that's going more towards Ripley and Brownsville. All right, and if we follow the path of this rotation, things look a little bit different right there. We're looking at two different things happening. In fact, if you watch, you've got this wave going in that direction, and this cell is going in this direction. You've got, in this cell, it's literally moving in two different directions. We've got this push that is now a severe thunderstorm warning, and watch the hail core. It's not following that, but it's trying to bend a little bit. So we have seen this sagging and tweaking south, and now it looks like it's trying to curve more towards Covington and a little bit more to the north. Now that is better news for the Millington area. Arlington, you're still getting soaked, but let's just watch that forward progress. It goes past Osceola, and it was trying to trend more towards Atoka. Now it looks like it's getting a little bit of a steer back to the left inside there. And I think we saw the same thing on velocity as well as we watch this move forward. You can see this angle. It kind of goes back and forth right here near Osceola. It kind of does a little jog, if you watch right there. It seems to be going straight towards 51, but now we're seeing this portion moving towards Ripley area and Brownsville, Tennessee, as a severe thunderstorm warning. Super interesting about what's happening there. And then we had that hail core back on. It's kind of splitting the difference right now. That's extremely interesting. And it's looking like it's trying to ebb a bit. Again, that would be a first for hundreds of miles of it tracking by to see it try to get more insignificant. I'm curious to see if it gets more life breathed into it. But underneath it, you are looking at still a decent amount of velocity right there, just north of Atoka. So this is still extremely damaging wind situation. It's about to pass over 51. Covington to Atoka, you know where you are in that area. It's about to cross over 51 right there and come barreling through. North of you, you do have a severe thunderstorm warning. So we're still concerned here about wind speeds, hail, everything that's been in play. But we're going to continue to track this leading edge that's just outside of Drummond's right now. Just barely the backside of that touching Drummond's. It's about to go over Munford, Gilt Edge Road. Gilt Edge to the north, Garland. Let's see, we're getting this tightened up even more. All right, well, that's good news. So far, this has not been forwarded, but we're going to continue to monitor it. Golden Lake, Osceola, you're now out of the tornado-warned area. You're on the backside of this system. Hopefully, things are going to be getting a little better for you, a little calmer. Still major winds coming through right here from Gilt Edge towards 51 and going to rush over Atoka. Let's give you some markers here as well if it continues that path of when it will be there. Let's see. Let's pause that for just a moment. I'm going to take the leading edge. Let's say Atoka, about 8 minutes until it gets to you. If it continues going forward, Mason, roughly 20 minutes from now. Stanton at this path, you're going to be close to you in just under a half hour. And looks like it's going to go a little north of Rosemark, but I'm going to include you as well, Rosemark, 12 minutes. Arlington, 19 minutes. So we're talking, give or take a little bit with this forward momentum. Whether or not it gets forwarded as a tornado warning, strong winds are going to move towards you in the next, let's say, 8 to 30 minutes. 8 to 30 minutes. And we're talking Atoka first, then Rosemark. So let's make sure everybody's sort of paying attention. And this is what it looks like. We're still looking at a monster hail core. It's not dead yet. It's about to roll over Covington. We've got a severe thunderstorm warning to the north, moving towards Henning and Brownsville. So just be aware, a lot of lightning and heavy rain coming down. And then this gilt edge sort of corridor down to Drummond's, still in that tornado warning zone. We just looked at how big and how impressive the wind speeds were, and it is trying to cross 51. Covington, you're awfully close to that hail right now. Let me back the system out. Let's kind of take a bird's eye view here. North Mississippi, still good. Now, you've got a lot of rain down in DeSoto County, but you're not warned. Good news there. I had several people ask me the other night, why aren't you checking in on us? If things are quiet and you're looking at a bottom level risk zone, we're going to go where things are extremely, extremely dangerous, which is happening right now in the Covington area near western Tennessee. All right, friends, if you've been with us, we've been dealing with a tornado watch. We're going to get an update in just a moment from Yasser Kishk on storm reports. We are still dealing with a tornado warning, which may expire soon, but is still dealing with some dangerous wind near Covington. And we are looking at a severe thunderstorm warning just north of that. Hail is a concern. The lightning is a concern. It's just about to get into the Covington area proper, and the wind speeds inside of this have stayed extremely put together, which is what I'm seeing right here, still near Gilt Edge. This is a strong wind blast that's just about to cross over 51 and closer to the Mason area. Rosemark, you're just south of that, but Covington, you're on the very edge of it. This has been a very busy evening, a very electric and dangerous evening, and we're watching this particular cell that has maintained its integrity throughout the afternoon. All right, my friends, right now, you are watching Fox 13 News at 10.
Fox 13 News at 10 starts now with breaking news.
Right now, friends, we are resetting for our 10 p.m. show. If you're just now joining us, we have been tracking a very strong tornado, a dangerous tornado that has had confirmed touchdowns. We've had confirmed multiple monster hail, torrential rainfall, and it has stayed active. And right now, it is confined just north of Millington to this smaller tornado warning. It's been collapsing, but it is still hazardous. We've got hail on top of Gilt Edge. We've got that about to enter Covington. You're hearing the thunder. You're watching the lightning flashes in Covington and Gilt Edge. You've got hail that has been dangerous moving in. And I want to take a moment to look at the velocity inside of here, which is the core. Now, we're not seeing the strong rotation that we saw earlier, but you're looking at a blast of wind that's about to move through 51 in between Atoka and Covington. So Gilt Edge, you are extremely breezy right now, and that is moving forward. All right, team coverage here at Fox 13 as always, so let's check in with Fox 13 meteorologist Yasser Kishk. Yasser, you got some storm reports.
Yeah, we're looking at the storm reports here really across the southeast, and there's been plenty well to our south, and then this one line here that we are running into that started in Missouri, moved through eastern Arkansas. Now we're seeing those storm reports beginning to pop up here in West Tennessee. That's the cell we've been tracking all evening. It's really just this one cell that's causing all the issues tonight, and that's why we're tracking that current tornado warning. And it has dropped tornadoes back into northern Arkansas. So this storm, as Joey's been telling you, has already had a history of producing tornadoes, and that's why we need you to take it seriously. We need you to call your people that are in the path of this tornado, make sure that they are awake and aware of the situation that's heading their way, because this is really pretty much the big game, if you will, that's in town, is this cell that just crossed out of Arkansas, moving into West Tennessee, that is north of Memphis. So it is north of Memphis and Shelby County at this time, but it could clip in potentially the northern parts of Shelby County if you live near Arlington, north of Arlington. But that's that hail core Joey's been showing you. We had those deep yellows and greens showing up. There was baseball size hail reported near Lake City in Arkansas from this thunderstorm as it rolled on through. Lake City's back here just outside of Jonesboro. That's where baseball hail was reported with this. But the fact that we are seeing the hail core not as strong is a good indicator that this storm is weakening, because what produces the hail is a very strong updraft. You have winds that are rushing up, building up a very tall thunderstorm, and that's what helps to produce that hail core and produce a strong updraft, right? So having a weaker hail core, one that's collapsing, is a good indication that the storm itself is weakening. That updraft, right, that is supporting the storm is beginning to collapse a little bit, and that's why we're not seeing this rotation as tight as it once was either, and why they they ended up issuing a severe thunderstorm warning. We're seeing more of the winds taking over as kind of that thunderstorm is beginning to collapse a little bit. But we still need you to be in your safe zone right now. Again, call your people. Make sure they are well aware of this possible tornado that is now moving into West Tennessee near the Gilt Edge region and Covington region here. And even as, we track it, zoom in closer to where that possible tornado is near Gilt Edge. It's already past you now near Gilt Edge, headed towards Burleson. And it's going to continue to track here along Highway 51, Old Highway 51. That's where it's going to be crossing next. So if you know anyone that lives along this path, please give them a call. Make sure they are in that safe zone that we are tracking for you. But right now, that rotation not looking as strong as it once was earlier. So that's at least a little bit of good news here, but still very dangerous situation. Lots of lightning associated with this storm as well. Lightning is another killer. And fortunately, we haven't had any reports of flash flooding, but that could be an issue as well with all of the heavy rain that we've had since, the past couple of days, and another big thunderstorm moving in right on top of it. Again, could be causing issues with that flash flooding, but we're certainly seeing some heavy rain that is pushing through parts of Memphis and Shelby County. But the severe part of this weather is to our north right now, passing north of Atoka. Looks like it's going to be heading towards Covington in terms of that hail core. You could maybe be running into that golf ball, maybe even pea-sized hail. We'll have to see how that hail core, though, continues to hold together here. But, of course, we are giving you team coverage, and we're going to continue with our chief meteorologist, Joey Solopek.
Hey, thank you, Yasser. I'm just getting my stretch on for a minute there. Hey, friends, so I want to show you what's active right now. We just added a severe thunderstorm watch zone in yellow. Tornado watch in red goes until midnight, and that is Memphis, Fayette County, Haywood, Lauderdale, Dyer. Everything else in yellow is a severe thunderstorm watch zone until 3 a.m., which basically means more of a threat for rotation here, less of a threat, but strong storms in yellow. We could still see that go back and forth. This has been one of those days where we've continued to watch things develop and pop up in some unusual areas because of how much instability there is across the Mid-South. I want to go back to the zone that is sort of, well, now it's kind of coming together right in the middle here. This is our tornado warned area. Technically supposed to go until 10:30. I don't think it's going to last that long, but it is crossing over and sort of getting layered with the severe thunderstorm warned area that's moving towards Covington, the leading edge coming forward. We're not seeing the same markers for rotation now. I don't think that's going to be moved forward as a tornado warning unless it reconvenes and sort of strengthens here in the short term. But it is likely exactly why we're seeing it going forward towards Covington as a severe thunderstorm warning. And interestingly enough, I want to point this out. You can see we actually have two different severe thunderstorm warnings here. This was the path that got tweaked when it was coming south as a tornado warning. It is now beginning to jog a little bit more north as a severe thunderstorm warning. So that is the turning that we talked about earlier. This is a separate situation up here. Ripley, Brownsville, you've got a severe thunderstorm warning. The winds that are just about to come across Covington are prompting that to become a severe thunderstorm warning. And I do think that once that tornado warning is allowed to expire, we can go back and pick up our newscast again and to give you periodic updates. But we are watching the end of the tornado warned area. It's almost out of that zone, and so that's great news. But we're not done with the hazards, okay, friends? In just a moment, if we're allowed to go back to the regular newscast. Covington, you are blanketed with hail and lightning, hazardous enough as it is. I would stay off the roads in any of these areas. Just north of you, it looks like they finally pulled the plug on that northern severe thunderstorm warning that was probably being issued because of the direction this hail core was trying to adjust to. They have redrawn it, and so now we're watching the old warning and the new warning together, which is very encouraging. We've been showing you hail photos all night long. Let's continue to share that. You're looking at Walnut Ridge, and it just looks like somebody dumped their cooler out. That came from hail that has been moving through here and has look at that. That's pretty incredible, friends. And to keep in mind, we had 70-degree temperatures today, and that was coming down hard and fast enough to not melt on contact, but to build up. And that looks like almost a snow event. That's a lot of hail coming through here. Again, this is Walnut Ridge, and we got most of these shots from Arkansas from that monster hail core, which is right now trying to move through. All right, good news, everyone. We have now let the tornado warning expire for the first time for several hours As that cell moved across Arkansas, at this moment, it's weakening, and we now have a severe thunderstorm warning for Covington. So I'm going to continue to study this with Fox 13 meteorologist Yasser Kishk here in Severe Weather Center 13. We'll have more on your 7-day forecast and your Easter forecast in a bit. Right now, let me send it back to Daryl and Merle.